Derby County faced Stockport County this morning in their final pre-season friendly during the pre-season tour over in Spain. It was a bit of a topsy-turvy game, and we're going to go through all of that, as well as talking about the potential interest in a 6'6" goalkeeper and a Crystal Palace youngster. That's everything we're going to get into in this video. If you are interested in staying tuned for all of the latest Derby County and EFL League One and Championship content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner to stay tuned for all of my latest content that will be heading to the channel over the course of the upcoming season. So let's get into it. So Derby County came away as 1-0 winners in their pre-season friendly today. Went through really three different lineups with, I believe it's just one player getting a total 90 minutes in the game. It was split into three different sections, 3 games of 30 essentially. And I think Derby County were fairly decent considering the circumstances. Now, starting off the game, I'll put the lineups on screen. We started off with Vickers, Niambi, Nelson and Fozzie as the 3 centre-halves. Wilson and Elder either wing-back. Kenzo and Ebou in midfield with a front 3 of Mendes Lang, Blackett Taylor and Jerry Yates up front. And I thought we were fairly decent, but I think it was quite obvious the players have worked really, really hard this week. Obviously, as we know, while they've been out there, they've been doing, some days they've been doing double sessions, some days they've been doing triple sessions. Obviously, they've had a pool session as well. Obviously, I believe yesterday they went and played a bit of golf, but they did have another pre-season friendly while they were out there. So it's been a very high intensity, high impact week. And I think we saw the repercussions of that in this game. Obviously, I think you could tell from the start that the players weren't necessarily fully fit, and it's just one of those things that's what they're working towards within this game. But some key talking points from early on in the game, I thought Kenzo had a really, really good game, looked really tidy, picking the ball up in some really, really nice pockets, playing some really nice passes. Ebou Adams, his typical normal self, running about, winning the tackles. Only disappointing thing was in the second quarter, second third, he came off with a little bit of a knock. Looked a bit more of an impact injury than anything else. Jerry Yates looked quite good. A bit one of them 50-50 performances for me, where a lot of players looked shattered as a result of the training they've endured this week. But there was a few shining lights. Obviously, going into the second half, the same team started. Obviously, Thompson came in for Ebou. I thought Thompson played really well when he came in. But then they had pretty much a fairly new 11, which I'll put on screen now, which went to Vickers, Cash, Fozzie, and Bradley as the back 3. Wilson on the right, Thompson on the left, Kenzo and Ben Osborne in midfield, with Jackson, Barkhazen and Collins up front. That second 11, pretty similar to the first 11 really. I think it's key to note that Ben Osborne played in midfield. Thought he did really well in there, to be honest. Thompson did really well out at left wing back. If you remember back to last season, pretty similar with Thompson, that he played out at left wing back. I thought Kenzo and Osborne had a pretty decent link up. Osborne got into some really good positions, really dictated the play quite well. Kane Wilson got into some really nice areas as well, so did Caden Jackson. I think Jackson will be disappointed not to have put one of the balls in the back of the net, in my opinion. He got into some really good places in that second half. And then as we went into the third, we made our final changes. Luthra, a goalkeeper from Cardiff City, is on trial with us throughout the time period in Spain. I thought he was fairly composed. He started in goal. Cash, Bradley and Fozzie, the back 3 again. Fozzie getting 90 minutes today. With Jackson, Darren Robinson and Ben Osborne in midfield. Thompson out on the left. Barkhazen, Brown and Collins up front. Now, if we go into the performance as a whole, I thought it was fairly decent. You could tell the players were fatigued. It was one of those games where still learning a lot about each other, still figuring out partnerships. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL Championship and League One content. We're going to start looking into the Championship and League One over the course of the first week of August, so make sure you're around for that. Turn on that notification bell and smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts on the performance down in the comments, and I'll catch you in my next video. But we're getting there, and players seem to be building fitness, and obviously Fozzie doing 90 minutes. I don't think he got 90 minutes throughout the entirety of pre-season last year, so that's a big step, especially as probably the oldest player in the book. Obviously, Sonny Bradley scored our goal right at the end from a set piece, which I think Ben Osborne took. Sonny Bradley rose highest at the far post. And I do think we put on a fairly decent show. It's one of those, though, where the heat is always going to cause a little bit of a problem. But I do think Derby County were fairly decent, got on the ball well, created a ton of chances, just didn't really take anything. Obviously, Stockport created a fair bit as well. Nothing really spectacular. They lost one of their main players after about 5 minutes to an injury. But it's just one of those pre-season games for me where it's more of a training exercise than an actual attempt to try and win a game. But I think both sides put in a fair amount of effort and were fairly decent. Now, there is a few talking points to talk about, which I'll go into in more detail in my next couple of videos, because Derby County have had a bid rejected for a 6'6" goalkeeper. I think his name's Jetterworth or something like that, in the Swedish league. Now, I'm unsure if Derby County will go back in. There's obviously reports that we may, but then obviously Derby County have been moving on a few different targets. Matt Ryan, one of the goalkeeper targets, has signed a 2-year deal at AS Roma. Can't really blame him for going to Roma, even as a backup keeper. Can probably offer much more money, better livelihood, really, going to live in Rome rather than the East Midlands. So can't really blame him for that one. But then you've probably seen it going across the ticker. Derby County are looking into, and they look like favourites for the potential signing of Crystal Palace youngster David Ozzo. I want to say his name's Ozzo. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Now, over the next few days, we'll be doing full get-to-know-me videos on the likes of Elkan Baggett, David Ozzo, and Jetterworth over the next few days. So that's going to be really interesting to see how they might fit into the squad, and if they do fit Paul Warne's specific wants in players. Now, judging by today's game and where players were playing, I do think we're going to bring in a left wing-back. Because I get the impression that Ben Osborne is going to be more of a central midfielder than a left wing back. It's going to be difficult to sort of read this one for a while, but obviously Paul Warne wanted 8 new signings after the Matlock game. We've bought in Ebou Adams since then, so we're down to 7. It's going to be interesting to see what does happen. Obviously, Ozzo wouldn't take up a registration slot as an 18-year-old. Obviously, Dejan Brown and Darren Robinson don't take up slots either. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. And obviously, we still haven't seen Connor I don't think Connor Washington's got any minutes yet. And I don't think Joe Ward's got any minutes yet in pre-season. So it's going to be interesting to see when they finally get on the pitch. Obviously, Derby County is still looking for a whole host of new players. So you're going to have to let me know your thoughts on the pre-season friendly down in the comments. If you went, what was your experience at the Pinatar Arena? Was it worth the trip? Obviously, getting a holiday and going to watch Derby isn't ever going to be bad. But let me know your thoughts down in that comment section. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.